Commissioner Tuarty.
Commissioner Tuarty called and said she was not able to be here tonight because of a family conflict. And also Commissioner Lynn is out of town. Commissioner Stefanski.
So move that we excuse Commissioner Tuarty and Commissioner Lynn.
It's been moved and supported. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. Please stand and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. The first item on, before we start, those folks with cell phones, if they would please silence them, we would appreciate it. Thank you. Item number one is the 2015 Mishkanska World Tour for Diabetes Research, which heads out of here on Saturday morning, and I have a proclamation we'd just like to read quickly. We'll present this proclamation to the group at the Friday morning, kind of a ceremonial area underneath the or near the tunnel under the I-75 business spur there. We'll all meet there and we'll present them with a key to the city. Also, they'll be going to St. Petersburg, Russia, and then there'll also be a key presented to there'll be I think there's 2 Russians with the group that'll be there. And of course, they'll be flying over the ocean, but they're going to leave from here. And let me just explain in the proclamation here. It says, whereas, after a lap around the I-500 track prior to the I-500 race on Saturday, February 7th, 2015, at approximately 8:45 a.m., the 2015 Mishkanska World Tour will be departing Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and will be traveling over 4,200 miles from Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan to St. Petersburg, Russia, to raise funds and awareness for diabetes research. And whereas the journey will challenge the endurance of the participants and their machines as they initiate this trip through the United States, Ontario, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Russia. And whereas this trip was organized by Vietnam veteran Bill Bradfield to both draw attention to fight for a cure for diabetes, which affects approximately 29.1 million Americans with a direct and indirect cost to the United States of $245 billion per year. And more specifically, to raise funds for the critical research necessary to eliminate this disease in the future. And whereas in 2010, the inaugural charity ride, founded by Mishkanska President Bill Bradfield, embarked on a 4,000-mile journey starting in Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan, and ended in Tok, Alaska, and went through Canada on the way. The 2010 Mishkanska Snowmobile Tour raised an incredible $102,000 in donations for diabetes research and awareness promotion. And whereas the city of Sault Ste. Marie is honored that Sault Ste. Marie, Michigan has been again chosen as a starting point for the Mishkanska 2015 Snowmobile World Tour for diabetes research. Therefore, I, Anthony G. Bosmas, Mayor of the City of Sault Ste. Marie, on behalf of the City Commission and the citizens of Sault Ste. Marie, hereby extend best wishes for a safe, enjoyable trip for all participants in this significant adventure. And then just the, in witness over here, and set my hand, and we'll present that again to Bill and the group again on Friday morning about 8:30. That evening at 7 o'clock, this same group and anyone else that is interested in the community can join us for a dinner at the Christopher Columbus Hall. And the money and the proceeds from that event will also go for diabetes research. And that'll be again at the Christopher Columbus Hall at 7 p.m. on Friday evening, the night before the I-500. And with that, we can lead right into the I-500 Board of Director member, been there a long time. David Thomas.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity to stand before you guys again today. This year, things are looking very good. We could have run 3 weeks ago if we wanted to. So the cold weather has been a blessing, and limited snow has been a blessing for when it comes to building the track. And the snow that we got earlier in the season is stacked up and burned, and we didn't have to haul any snow in this year, so that's been great. And the track's in excellent condition. There's kids and families up there right now, skating all the way around
That's right.
the Monster
Thanks.
Mile. Because tonight's skate night was supposed to start at 7, but when I left there at 6:30, they'd already showed up. So
Excellent.
some kids playing hockey in the back stretch, and some even going all the way around the rink. This year I put buttons in front of each of your seats. Please make sure that Mr. Lynn gets his button. No.
He'll be back
Buttons,
tomorrow.
guys, okay? This year's button, we went back to the kids' button design contest again this year, and Ethan McDonald is the one who designed the logo that's on the button. He did a great job. We're hopefully tomorrow we're going to get a little press picture with Scott. If he can help me out and get that in the paper. But he was our button design contest winner. Sponsors, local and national, have been very good. Some local businesses such as Madigan Pingator Insurance, All Phase Electrical, War Memorial Hospital, of course, Northern Sand and Gravel, Marquetti Distributing has really helped us out. The Convention and Visitors Bureau has done a lot of promotion for us again this year with their hot seat raffle. I'm sure you guys have all seen the TV commercials that are on 9 and 10 where they're raffling off all access passes in the VIP room. They've done a tremendous job in promoting that as well as Sioux Fireplace, Stone, and Don Earl, and many other businesses, Burton Excavating, which we couldn't Norse Contracting, we couldn't get this stuff obviously done or this race off at all without help from all areas of the business community, whether they're construction workers and have heavy equipment or whether they don't.
I believe just to help you, Kewadin Casino and Marquetti still big in that?
Queen Casino is still our featured sponsor, as well as Choco Racewear, who came through strong for us this year. We got 20 new orange coats for our track workers. I mean, there's 40, 50 people that are down on the infield on race day, whether they're flagging or whether they're tow sled drivers or whatnot, and keeping those guys outfitted in warm clothing that you can see them on is really important. So Choco got us 20 jackets this year for that, and then some other race promotional stuff. But
Each day there's something else.
Too.
Each day there's something going on at the track. And you want to run down that? real
There
quick?
is. Tonight is skate night. It's kind of a down night. We just get the families up there, and there's hot dogs and hot chocolate and coffee for everybody who wants to come up and skate. Tuesday practice will start at noon to 5 with qualifying from 6 to 10. So time trials will start tomorrow night at 6. We'll lock in the pole positions tomorrow night during qualifying. On Wednesday, we have qualifying from noon to 8, and then we will have our rookie roundup race, which is a chance for guys who don't have a lot of seat time at the I-500 to get out there and run with each other and build their resume and hopefully race someday, a complete race. We also have something that's not on the schedule and isn't on the posters. We have the Outlaw 600s coming, that they're going to run two small races after the rookie roundup. Outlaw 600s is a new class of snowmobile. It looks kind of like a souped up or a boxy car. And so it's more of a self-contained snowmobile, and they are extremely fast. They anticipate they're coming to race Wednesday night and then going back to Minnesota to run a full race in Minnesota on Saturday, and they have never put these sleds on a 1 mile oval before. They usually run in small quarter-mile ovals or half-mile. So it's going to be very interesting. We're hearing a lot of good things. People are going to come up and take a look at it. All these guys are bringing extra engines with them because they're expecting to melt their engines down during the race.
On what time Wednesday would that start?
Probably it'll be right after the rookie roundup,
Okay.
depending on how long it takes and how it goes. 9:30, somewhere in there. Probably closer to 9:30.
Okay.
But it should be extremely interesting to watch those guys go because they'll be very fast and they're very excited about
Excellent.
getting on the big track, so to speak. And then Thursday we have more qualifying during the day, and then we've got our Woody's Dash. Woody's Traction Products is another large sponsor of ours, and we'll have 2 races on Wednesday night at 6 and 7:30, and then of course the pub crawls going all through town, and we'll have live music and a band in the vendor tent as one stop on the pub crawl as well on Thursday night. Friday's the Queen Contest pageant. That'll be Friday night, where we'll select our I-500 Queen in her court. And then Saturday's race day,
10 o'clock.
10 o'clock.
And there's a number of things going on from like 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock.
There is. There's we're hopeful. I don't know if I'm supposed to say it or not, but we're hopeful that we have a flyover.
And
Actually,
we've often mentioned, and you're one of the people too, the volunteers that continually show up year in, year out to continue this race is certainly appreciated by the city of Sault Ste. Marie. And you bring the amount of money that is attached to the I-500 is in the millions of dollars, and this is the 47th, so we're getting close to $100 million, I would think, over this 47-year history of the I-500. We certainly appreciate those folks continually.
great group that shows up every year.
Yeah, every year.
And helps get it done. It's a big volunteer organization.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. Oh, and as far as the donations to diabetes, anyone wanting to make donations can send those donations to the City Hall, City Manager's office, and we'll make sure that Bill Bradfield does in fact take that with them, or we're going to kind of collect through the month of February and then send it to his home, I think, is the plan. So we encourage folks to, if they can, participate in the diabetes research. Item 3. Public comment on scheduled agenda items. Any person may reserve time to speak on an agenda item not to exceed 3 minutes per person. Is there anyone that would like to speak on an agenda item at this time? Yes, sir. And what item, Jamie? On the golf course. That would be 5B. Anyone else? Yes, sir. Okay. Brian. Anyone else? Okay, thank you. Consent agenda, City Clerk.
Under the consent agenda, A, minute approval. 1, approval of the minutes of the regular City Commission meeting of January 19th, 2015. Recommended action, approve the minutes of the regular City Commission meeting of January 19th, 2015. Item 2, acceptance of the minutes of the following boards and commissions. A, Economic Development Corporation of November 11th. B, Historical Development Commission of December 9th. C, Historic Structures Management Committee of December 16th. And D, Sault Ste. Marie Housing Commission of December 18th. Recommended action, accept the minutes of the various boards and commissions. Item B, appointments and resignations. 1, resignation from the Community Services Board. Recommended action, accept the resignation of Mark Miners from the Community Services Board for a term that expired on July 1, 2014, and send a letter of thanks for his service. Item 2, appointment to the Dial-A-Ride Local Advisory Council. Recommended action, appoint Eva Spencer to the Dial-A-Ride Local Advisory Council to fill the balance of a term to expire July 1, 2015. And item 3, reappointment to the Recreational Building Authority. Recommended action, reappoint Steve Canello for a term to expire January 1, 2019, Kristen Collins for a term to expire January 1, 2018, and Ron Meister for a term to expire January 1, 2017, to the Recreational Building Authority.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Shimmons.
I would so move the consent agenda, please, as presented.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Mayor Bospas?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. We are now into the city manager's report.
Thank you, Mayor. Item A under the City Manager's report would provide an appropriation of funding for emergency replacement of a commercial water heater at the Polar Community Building. As commissioners are aware, on Wednesday, January 21st, 2015, the commercial hot water tank that services the Polar Community Building for all of its hot water needs and Zamboni needs ceased operations. Staff obtained 4 quotes from local heating and cooling vendors for the replacement of this unit. Albert Heating and Cooling was the contractor selected to complete the emergency replacement work which included the removal of the prior unit and the replacement to a comparable unit. Although it was not the lowest quote, Albert did have the quickest turnaround time and was able to install the replacement by 7:30 p.m. on the Friday of the week during which the former hot water heater went down. Albert's devoted much of their resources to completing this project in a very timely manner, and we would like to thank Albert and Todd Albert and Albert Heating and Cooling for the very quick turnaround, particularly because this was a health, safety, and welfare issue. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission appropriate $13,800 from the non-departmental contingency fund to cover the cost of the emergency repair of the Polar Community Building commercial water heater.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Bauer.
So move the city commission appropriate $13,800 from the non-departmental contingency fund to cover the cost of the emergency repair of the Polar Community Building commercial water heater.
Support.
It's been moved and supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Simmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Mayor Boswis?
Yes. Motion carried. Thank you.
Item B under the city manager's report would provide authorization for the administration to execute a representation agreement with Marcus and Millichap Real Estate Investment Services for the listing of the Sault Ste. Marie Golf Course and Club for sale. At its July 21st, 2014 regular meeting, the City Commission approved a new management and lease agreement which was prepared by City Attorney Canello and duly entered into by the City of Sault Ste. Marie and the Sault Ste. Marie Country Club. Section 3.3 of this agreement further provides that the Sault Ste. Marie Country Club will work with the city to sell the combined assets of both parties. On Tuesday, September 23, 2014, one sealed proposal was received from Marcus and Millichap Real Estate Investment Services for those services necessary for the listing for sale of the assets of both parties. Marcus and Millichap is based out of Tampa, Florida, and is a national company with broker expertise in golf and resort properties. Specifically, the company has had success in Michigan selling various courses and clubs, such as the Monroe Golf and Country Club, TPC Michigan, located in Dearborn, Michigan, and the former Four Lakes Golf Club, located in Kimball, Michigan. Assistant City Manager Clerk Troyer has obtained satisfactory reference checks on this company. As commissioners are additionally aware, action was taken by the City Commission at its December 1st, 2014 regular meeting to refer the subject matter back to the administration for further review. Since this point in time, Mr. Demby of Marcus and Millichap has indicated he's reviewed the combined assets of both parties in more detail with Marcus and Millichap's golf team and determined that is currently a high level of demand for golf courses that carry a price tag of around $1 million. Accordingly, Mr. Demby has informed the administration that the property could reasonably be listed at $1,250,000 and submitted the included representation agreement to the city representing the same. It should be noted that at a listing price of $1,250,000, that it's anticipated the city would receive approximately $754,800, and that the Sault Ste. Marie Country Club would receive an estimated $355,000 from the net sales proceeds of any transaction after considering brokerage commission and other transaction-related costs. This would cover the existing debt of the city connected to its golf assets currently standing at $132,500 and be sufficient for the Sault Ste. Marie Country Club to cover its own existing debt that it owes to its banking institution. Mr. Demby has noted that listing the combined assets at $1,250,000 may require additional time to entice investors that may wish to purchase these assets, and that there's still a chance that offers on a property could be received at around $1 million. Nevertheless, and as commissioners are aware, any full list price offer that were to be made to the city and the country club would need to be accepted, or a commission would need to be paid to Marcus and Millichap. The revised representation agreement, which includes the $1.25 million listing price, is intended to distribute the net sales proceeds in a manner that would cover the existing debt of the country club without requiring the reduction of the percentage of the net sales proceeds that would be received by the city should a full list price offer be received. As additional notes of interest, the city has provided additional information regarding a large 77-acre parcel of land adjoining the golf course to Marcus and Millichap for marketing purposes. Additionally, it should be emphasized that by approving this representation agreement, if the commission so desires, that this would only represent a starting point for having the combined assets of both parties listed for sale. As commissioners are well aware, additional negotiations would need to occur between involved stakeholders should an offer be received that is less than the full list price of $1.25 million. Accordingly, it is my recommendation that the City Commission authorize the City Manager to execute the presented representation agreement with Marcus & Millichap Real Estate Investment Services.
Okay, thank you. And at this time, normally we would go to the public, the people that want to make comment. I think you would just go first. If you'd identify yourself for the record, we'd appreciate it. Jamie?
Jamie Davison, General Manager, Sault Ste. Marie Country Club Incorporated. First off, just wanted to thank Jeff and Pat for sitting in on all the discussions over the summer months and that with Robin and Oliver and Spencer previously there, along with Steve. I think we all worked hard at trying to find a compromise. Unfortunately, this may or may not be the best compromise, but it is what everybody's come down to and agreed upon at this point in time, that to list the country club along with the golf course as a combined entity for sale. I don't know, I guess at the same time, as far coming from the country club side of it, we still don't feel that we're getting a fair shake as part of the recreational budget throughout the city of Sault Ste. Marie. We just feel that you shouldn't pick and choose what you choose to call recreation in your city. And it's unfortunate, but we've kind of come to live with that we aren't gonna be seen in the same light as the Puller or the ball fields or anything else in the city. To sell it, I mean, the only question there is, what happens if somebody buys it and doesn't want to keep it a golf course? Then what are you gonna have? You're not gonna have a golf course in the city of Sault Ste. Marie that people are gonna come into this city and respect as professionals, the hospitals, the college. You're not gonna have that draw should somebody come in here and want to bulldoze it and make it real estate. I really see a problem with the city kind of frowning on, which is, I mean, it's not the biggest asset that this city has, but it's probably the second largest asset that this city has, and it costs the city next to nothing. I understand, I know I talked to Robin earlier today, we are in arrears on the bond payment for the year, but at the same time, the city has never been on the hook for the bond payment. The country club has always paid in full. The city's never had to make that bond payment for us. We may have been late, but we've always caught up. Golf is my passion. It's my profession. And I enjoy working there. I enjoy working with the community and the people that come into this community. They support this community, whether they're from the U.S. or from Canada. You're all business owners or work in business, and you all see the people that come in every day and support your businesses. And without the country club down the street, your businesses will also suffer as well if that should cease to exist as a country club down there. That's all.
Okay, thank you. Brian, did you have a? If you'd also identify yourself for the record, we'd appreciate it.
I'm Brian Staley. I'm a recent retiree, and I moved to the Sioux 5 years ago, and I purchased the residence that I did because of its vicinity to the country club. And we would have made a different decision, and I would like confirmation, other than what I've read in the media. There is no provision that if this property is sold, that it will stay a golf course. Is that correct?
That is correct.
As a property owner in the vicinity of the golf course, I'm hoping and would invite a couple of you to comment on the idea of the thought and research that you've put into if the golf course sells and the new owner were to default on it, what that does to the value of my property. Or if they change it to a less desirable draw for people to buy homes there. And the homes surrounding the golf course, is the city willing to give us a tax break as our property values fall, should the property itself that you're selling become less valuable? So I would invite one or more of you, I'm sure you've considered this, to tell me what your feelings were. Thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Are you done?
I am?
Okay. Yeah. This will probably be answered by the commission at this point.
Okay.
But we may get into that discussion if we ever get a offer that we ever discuss the sale, because we've gone through this a bit. Maybe the city manager want to elaborate a little bit, but the discussion hasn't really gotten to that point yet. But I'm sure if it came down to something like that, it certainly could be part of the discussion.
Well, I would like to have reassurance that when we get to that point, that would be a consideration, because there are those of us who own the property and say the course is sold, and has happened with other municipal courses, the new owner goes into receivership and the golf course overgrows into weeds. Just be aware there are those of us that live in that vicinity, and I would like you to be aware and comment later on the impact that will have on our property. Thank you.
Thank you. I would see us, if we ever got to a point of selling the golf course, there would be public comment given to people affected by that situation, without a doubt. But that's not the question. At this point, we're dealing, Commissioner Gary, did you have a comment?
I'd add some comments, but in just a brief response, I think we have, our request for proposals was targeted especially to real estate agents that had experience and a breadth of customer base in the type of golf operation. So we are trying to keep it going, but I think selling it is a going concern. As to your other questions, those would probably be better answered by the city attorney and excuse me, at the end of the negotiation. Back in July when we talked about the actual lease and management agreement, I was initially opposed, not in, just in part because of some of the monetary agreements, but it did pass on a 6-1 vote. So I certainly support that as a member of this commission. December again, we looked at it and looked at an initial listing agreement with Marcus and Millichap for $1 million, but after we discussed it, we referred it back to the administration because that sale price would not have netted enough for the course operations to get out of it whole, and therefore was not a price that we could entertain. Now, I think the city manager did a great job of recapping in his memo the reasons for an increased marketing price, and this price would list the course at a price that will satisfy any debt associated with the course. I think that the city and the course are in agreement to sign and would therefore be bound to the agreement if we got a full price offer for the course. And there won't be any costs that are borne by the city alone if we go forward with this listing, with the exception of some travel costs for Marcus and Millichap, which will be split by the ratio that was established in our first agreement. I think that at our last meeting too, we talked about a little bit about short sales and some of the other stuff, which is irrelevant at this point until we actually list the property, put it on the market, and find out how many purchases are out there and how many people are interested in the property. So market value of a property is you know, what a willing buyer and seller will pay in an open market, and we have not established that because we don't have the property officially for sale. I don't think any of the issues at this point that we discussed or saw earlier were, and he mentioned that they were delinquent on their payment, but that would be, I think, discussion under the terms of the agreement, rather than discussion tonight on the, whether or not we sign a representation agreement with Marcus and Millichamp. So I would make a motion to accept the city manager's recommendation at this point.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gary,
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons,
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski,
Yes.
Mayor Bosbus.
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer.
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you. Thank you.
Item C, under the city manager's report, would provide authorization to the administration to apply for Federal Lands Access Program grant for the milling and resurfacing of West Portage Avenue from West Easterday Avenue to Osborne Boulevard. As laid out in the memorandum, the Federal Highway Administration has published a call for projects and is accepting applications for Federal Lands Access Program funding for fiscal years 2015 through 2018. The City of Sault Ste. Marie is eligible to apply for this funding as an Act 51 agency. Eligible projects include transportation facilities located on, adjacent to, or that provide access to federal lands. City Engineer Basista is proposing to apply for FLAP funding for the milling and resurfacing of West Portage Avenue from West Easterday Avenue to Osborne Boulevard, as it's a primary access road to the Sioux Locks. The project would consist of 2 inches of milling and resurfacing with minor drainage, curb and gutter, sidewalk ramp improvements, and associated restoration. The total estimated project cost would be $1,055,000, with $950,000 in construction costs and $105,000 in engineering and miscellaneous soft cost. The maximum request for FLAP funding should not exceed $500,000 per eligible project application, and the FLAP funds may only be used toward construction with minimum matching funds of 20%. The 20% minimum match for the grant application would be $190,000, which comprises 20% of the $950,000 in construction-related costs. In addition to the engineering costs, this would bring the financial obligation of the city to a total of $295,000. Because the grant request would exceed $500,000 under the FLAP guidelines, the project may be broken down into 2 separate segments with separate applications, which would thereby increase the chances of obtaining some, if not all, of the grant request. Accordingly, it's my recommendation that the City Commission authorize the application for Federal Lands Access Program funding for the milling and resurfacing of West Portage Avenue from West Easterday Avenue to Osborne Boulevard.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Stefanski.
One thing I have to say is I'm glad we are applying for this. I noticed when we milled Ashman Street in the downtown area, that's really kept the road up. It looks really good and it seems to work, and I think this is a great idea. So moved that we approve the city manager's recommendation.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Are there any questions? I guess the question I have of our city engineer, I looked at West Portage Avenue, and we must be looking at a couple of years out, because that road's, I'm thinking it's only 4 years old, maybe? 4 or 5 years old?
It's a little older than that.
Is it really?
Yeah,
Oh.
I think it was redone, well, when they did the
Yes.
curve for
Yeah.
the customs building in the early 2000s. So at least 10 years old at this
No
point.
kidding.
And we're proposing that this would probably be done if we are approved the grant in 2017 is what I'm projecting, 2017 or 2018. It's a 3-year, for the funding is appropriated for 3 years, 2015 through 2018 fiscal years, Federal Highway Administration.
That
So
looks
we'll
good.
go for the outer years, but you have to apply now.
Okay.
And it's good practice to preserve our roads in good condition so that we don't have to spend more money by reconstructing. So this mill and resurface would just give a fresh surface of the road and maintain its integrity for another 20 years or
I guess the main part of the road from Osborne to maybe Magazine, or Osborne to, I guess it would be Magazine, is the older part of the road, because that was finished first. And they, engineering-wise, it holds a lot of water on the surface when we have even not a real heavy rain. Is there, I don't know if it's the number of catch basins or the amount of,
Yeah, I think that
diameter of
there's some missing, there might be a missing catch basin or two out there, because there looks to be a couple of low areas in the parking areas, in that diagonal parking. I've been kind of watching that since I've been here, and
Okay.
so that would be the minor drainage improvements that I'm
Great,
proposing,
okay.
is just to pick up a little bit of that. and
Okay, yeah,
get
'cause
that
that really, I
taken
mean,
care
you
of.
can't get to the, people parking their cars can't get out of the car, and then you can't get to the curb because it's more than 5 feet wide.
Yeah, there needs to be a catch basin in those corners.
Okay,
Yeah.
great,
We could take care of that.
thank you. Commissioner Bauer?
Quick question, how long does construction of that nature and of that length usually take?
For just
I mean, I
a,
know there was a variety of factors, anything depending on the weather and how, you know, how fast the crew really wants to work. But, you know,
yeah, for a mill and resurfacing, they could probably do that entire length. I would break it up. I would have them break it up into different segments, from the Power Canal to downtown, and then from Easter Day to the Power Canal, something like that. So they're not working on both sides of the bridges at the same time. But a project like that could overall take less than a month, with the actual milling and repaving only taking a week or two. Then they just have to do structure adjustments and some other minor stuff in between the milling and the repaving. And if you were ever concerned about traffic and that kind of thing, it's a good project also that could be done at night.
thanks.
Just a question, because of the tourist area and the heavy traffic's there July and August, so especially from Osborne to Magazine, I would hope that those owners would be contacted, looking at good times.
Oh, yeah, we would certainly
Making
take
sure
that
that-
into account
yeah.
for that section.
Okay,
Mhm.
excellent.
That would be probably a nighttime work.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else? Thank you. We have a motion and support. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Mayor Boswell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you.
Item D, under the city manager's report, would provide approval for return capital projects funds, and I've requested that Finance Director, Treasurer Kristen Collins make a presentation regarding this subject matter.
Kristen?
Hello, Mayor, Commissioners, and staff. I annually review the capital projects budgets and go through them with all department heads, anyone in charge of these projects, and look for any return funds, a project that may be completed under budget or over in some cases. And there are a few projects that had that going on here. So I have listed them in my memorandum, and the reason this is done in this way is because I do it all in Excel. So sorry if you had to go through too many PDF format files, but to get you all the information that you need, I did it that way so that you'd have it. If you would like me to answer any questions on any of these individual projects, I'd be happy to do so. But in total, I see at the bottom, it's $632,985 that can be returned to the reserves that we utilize to do these capital projects. Those reserves are spread across about 10 funds, general fund being the first one. There are some road contingency funds, that's a major one. The reason that one is so big is because we are returning preventative street maintenance. Just as Engineer Basista was just discussing, we can accomplish a lot more with preventative maintenance at a lower cost. So these funds are set aside in the road contingency fund for that kind of project. Do you have any questions on specific projects?
Christian, maybe you could just hit some, like you said, the large amounts in the preventative street maintenance. Looks like, 169, 195. Those are large amounts. Johnson Street Bridge repair, engineering was 19. it's not a large, it's not a long, but just so people, when you're returning $600,000 to the budget, maybe the folks that are watching or listening at home would be interested in maybe just some of those larger amounts.
On the preventative street maintenance, we had set aside it was called preventative street maintenance line items, and the commission had approved that for a variety of streets. Unfortunately, it becomes a little difficult to track when you have projects going on that are just labeled major street preventative maintenance. So in order to improve transparency, I proposed that we set these in a reserve, and as the streets are being maintained, we identify the street being worked on with a title and its own line item, and then fund that out of these reserves. So, for example, what we just talked about, West Portage Avenue, we would then move money out of these into that project for our local match when the time comes. If we get the grant and, you know, all goes well, then we'll have that money there, and that would probably be a major street. And similar to the local street, we have needs on many of our local streets. So that money is there. Everyone knows it's there. It will be in the project fund available funding that we can go through at budget time. So I'm in the process of updating our project funding sources so that at budget time, when we have X, Y, and Z projects, we can note in the budget process just how much is in those reserves to fund that. We also have some grants that it closed, the project got done, whether it was under or over. I just want to close them out because the grant is closed. Ones that fall under that category are Rotary Park, Ashman Bay Dredging. We have the Sherman Park Picnic Shelter, the Multi-Purpose Trail, the Tree Master Plan and Inventory Grant, the Fire Alarm and Generator Grant. I really appreciate all of the help from the department heads in closing these grants out. We had a big grant closeout year.
Okay.
So it was really great to get some of these, all the reportings in, done. The agency that's authorizing the grant has given us the okay, and we move on.
Okay.
So those are just kind of bookkeeping, nothing really that is too much to be explained there. On the next page, I see that we have the gravel road grade lifts. That one, we had anticipated funding from the tribe, and it was in a beginning budget, and then it did not come in. They funded a different project. They had some other stuff going on there. So we have to, that one is a negative funding, and so what we have to do is net it against all the other gaming projects, and so we will return $22,000 less to gaming than we would have because that project ran over. A lot of the ones at the tail end of this are equipment. So a lot of times equipment, it may come in under budget, and so that we have extra available, and we just return it to the reserves.
Okay.
So it's there for the next equipment purchase.
Okay. Any questions of Christian? Commissioner Bauer?
Yeah, just a quick one. How does this year compare with, other years historically in regards to the amount of money that we're getting back from these closeouts?
The dollar amount is bigger this year.
Because it seemed bigger to me.
Yeah.
I looked at that, $632,000 is not chump change.
I've seen 300,000, I've seen 400,000. 600 is a big number, but keep in mind that 350,000 is that preventative maintenance. And that was just it was just a couple of accounts that needed a name, is all it really needed. And the name would have been too long for our system to handle because it's many streets. So we'll just return it to the fund. We now have a road contingency fund, which is fairly new. It's about 4 years old. And we'll keep it there for future projects.
Thanks.
Thanks.
Commissioner Gary, and then
I was just going to mention, I think the narrative was great and very detailed, a lot of pages, but just for the layman, this is not $600,000 that's being returned to the general fund that is available for funding. This is going into specific funds and reserves and is not available for any other purposes at this point. So I think it's an important note to make.
Well said.
Yes.
We have about $5,400 returning to the general fund.
City Manager.
Just to further specify on Commissioner Bauer's question, last year it was $239,000 approximately.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Commissioner Bauer, do we have a motion yet?
I'll make one.
Okay.
So move that the commission concur with the closeout of various projects that were funded prior to June 30th, 2014, with those remaining funds reverting back to the source from which the original appropriation was drawn, as presented by the administration.
Support.
It's been moved, supported. Any questions? Roll call, please.
Commissioner Stefanski?
Yes.
Mayor Boswell?
Yes.
Commissioner Bauer?
Yes.
Commissioner Gary?
Yes.
Commissioner Shimmons?
Yes.
Motion carried. Thank you.
That concludes the city manager's report, Mayor. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now we're into the status reports.
Item A under the status report is pertaining to the Michigan Travel Counts Survey. Per the Community Development Department, would like to make the community aware that the Michigan Department of Transportation, in cooperation with the Southeast Michigan Council of Governments, will administer a travel survey program called Michigan Travel Counts. The survey begins on Monday, January 26, 2015, and will continue throughout the year. The survey results will give the transportation community a better understanding of why people travel and how they plan their daily activities. From this, future trends can be anticipated to meet Michigan's changing travel needs, thus helping to boost Michigan's quality of life while enhancing the economic health and vitality of the state. So the public is aware, randomly selected Michigan households will be contacted by U.S. mail and invited to participate in the survey by recording and then reporting their travel activities for 1 day. A small group of households will be asked to participate in the GPS survey. It's the city's hope that residents will accept and welcome this invitation. It's an official study conducted by MDOT and SEMCOG, and the information collected would be confidential and secure. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Does that conclude the status?
It does. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay, thank you. Item number 7, matters presented by the public. Is there anyone in the audience who'd like to make a comment at this time? Okay, item number 8, matters presented by the City Commission.
You know what? I'll make a quick one.
Oh, sure, Commissioner Bauer.
Just based on what we heard here tonight in regards to the future possible development of the golf course, and frankly, in my opinion, it doesn't really mean anything because I don't have a crystal ball, but it would seem to me that it's very likely that whoever buys that is going to keep it as a golf course. But we don't know that. So what I'm thinking is that a week from today, when we're in our goal-setting session, we possibly kick around or address, you know, some of the things that we would not allow to occur there.
Well, it's my hope that the people that would buy the golf, I mean, it's a big number. We don't know what it may be worth. I hope it continues to be a golf course. I think it's a benefit to the community to have that golf course in the city. And I know because I play it, you see a lot of different people there. We've had people move in from other areas to be part of this community because of Lake Superior State University, because of the golf course, because this is a nice place to retire to if you want the 4 seasons, and that's all part of that whole situation. So I would hope that that would be the case. So
What I'm trying to say, I guess, is that is it Staley?
yes.
Yeah. You know, Mr. Staley voiced some concerns, and people who may or may not be buying property in that area may have concerns as to the lack, or not the lack of, but the volatility of the situation. You know what I mean? The lack of stability. You know what I mean? If we can assure those people that no matter what happens, we're not zoning it industrial, or, you know what I mean, worst possible case scenario, this or that, that goal setting might be a time to address that.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. So if we could make a plan to carve out a couple of minutes during our goal-setting session to discuss that. I think it would be worth our while,
Thank
for
you.
that reason.
Sure. Anyone else? Commissioner Gary, you'd like to make a motion to adjourn?
I would move that we adjourn this meeting.
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same size. We are adjourned. Thank you very much.